Education, engagement, and entrepreneurship. A holistic approach for the 21st century student artist. Two definitions. An entrepreneur is a person who has possession over a new enterprise or venture and assumes full accountability for the inherent risks and the outcome. The 21st century artist, musician, is a person who has possession over a new enterprise or venture and assumes full accountability for the inherent risks and the outcome. A quotation: "Whatever my passions demand of me, I become for the time being musician, poet, director, author, lecturer, or anything else." Richard Wagner in a letter to Liszt. Arts advocacy has always been an important work of the artist. Who is the 21st century artist? Performer, teacher, arts advocate, agent, development officer, IT expert, visionary, and entrepreneur. Right? Where are these skills learned? Just as important as nurturing the artistic skill of the musician, so is the nurturing of the entrepreneurial skill of the musician in order for a successful career in sharing the art. It is truly from the practice room to the practice of entrepreneurship. Pursuing a career as a performer and educator is a challenging and exciting venture for the 21st century artist. The development of the university conservatory student as an artist, educator, and entrepreneur across the curriculum is crucial. With many institutions building outreach programs over the past few decades, service learning opportunities for students that lead to entrepreneurial skills are often found in outreach, community, and educational programming, in addition to the university curriculum. The student artist as performer. We are really good at this. We know how to produce the student artist, right? However, it is crucial that the University Conservatory provides a holistic approach in educating the performing arts student, as Angela Beeching explores in her work Beyond Talent, creating a successful career in music, that it is not enough to be a superb artist, because other skills are necessary in building and maintaining a career in performance. She states that the world needs artists of all kinds, but our opportunities are often the ones we create for ourselves. Exactly, right? Should we as educators be training the artist in all skills necessary to succeed? I say yes, right? Outreach as an entrepreneurial tool. Some excellent models of entrepreneurial thought are often provided within educational outreach and community engagement programs that serve not only the schools and communities, but also provide the student growth in skills necessary to engage new and diverse audiences. The University Conservatory can best serve the successful performing arts student by helping develop skill sets in educational outreach, community engagement, and career entrepreneurship in order to address the exciting and emerging landscape of the performing arts in this century. These are exciting days for the classical arts. Juilliard students receive superb instruction from the studio to the classroom to the stage as they refine their artistic talent during their course of study. Juilliard also offers these young artists the opportunity to grow as teaching artists and arts advocates by gaining skills through experiences in community engagement, enrichment, interactive performance, and collaborative teaching through educational outreach. In his book, The Artist as Citizen, our Juilliard president, Dr. Joseph Polisi, states that there should be no dividing line between artistic excellence and social consciousness. America's artists of today must take on the challenge of synergistically applying these two elements if the art forms we embrace are to continue to flourish and to communicate the human values that emanate from them. This philosophy of artistic excellence wedded with social consciousness is necessary as the students seek out their destiny in the field of the performing arts. With the Artist as Citizen model, a wonderful byproduct of this pursuit is the development of entrepreneurial skills. In the Office of Educational Outreach, we provide many service learning opportunities for the students, and within the auspices of service learning, important goals for students through educational outreach are, number one, excel as performers, enrich communities and schools, create new and diverse audiences, form partnerships, develop teaching artists, develop diverse vocational and entrepreneurial skills, become communicative leaders in promoting the social responsibility of the artist and share the art. I brought a brochure from Juilliard today that I can spend about 3 hours explaining all of these programs, of which we do not have time, but you can look at it at your leisure, and we can discuss it in the hallways if you would like. But there are skills beyond just artistic development that we've been talking about, and I would like to highlight a couple of these. These are our academic programs that run through the year. In addition to these, there are many other run-out types of programs and other things that happen within the office. But in order for Juilliard students to apply for certain fellowships, additional coursework is required. These courses include things like arts and education, insights into learning for teaching programs. Since the conservatory does not have a music education degree, these additional courses are necessary in order to prepare our teaching fellows for assignments in New York City schools. These are student fellowships and outreach programs that focus on the development of the artist in sharing their art in artistic, communicative, and empowering ways. For example, the concert fellowship, Juilliard concert fellows are selected and they go into 4th grade classrooms in the New York City public school system. They go in and prepare the students for young people's concerts, which the 4th graders travel to Juilliard for the Young People's Concert Series. The concert fellows go, first of all, to prepare the 4th grade classes prior to the event. Then after they've been to Juilliard and heard the concert, they go back to the same classrooms and do a follow-up. This happens 7 times a year. Well, they go into schools 14 times, but there are 7 concerts through the year. So this opportunity is for the Juilliard student to go in and talk about their art with this particular age-specific group. But also the Young People's Concert Series, it is populated by current Juilliard students, and we explore everything from the string quartet to Juilliard jazz. The students that perform for the Young People's Concert Series must put together a 45-minute interactive concert for these 4th graders. It's not a formal come in and sit down in the concert hall. We have a different space, we set up the chairs differently, and it's a much more intimate environment. The students need to do something that immediately engages their young 4th grade students. Last year, a good example was we had a wind quintet, and we were exploring all of those instruments in this particular concert. The first thing they did, they came on stage, sat down, and immediately started playing. But what they had done is one of the members of the group had arranged themes from the Harry Potter movies and began with that. So immediately all the 4th graders were like, you know, and then from then on, it was easy to find that as a point of entry and then to really engage the 4th graders during that particular program. And they learned everything about the bassoon and the oboe and all of those types of things. The New York City school students do learn from the experience, but the Juilliard students draw upon their conservatory training to teach and perform using resources from private lessons to music history to humanities classes. The student artist as arts advocate. Why? We've got to. It's an important part of society. Another form of interactive concert that we have is the Gluck Community Service Fellowship that you can read more about. But each year we select about 100 Gluck Fellows, and they present 450 interactive concerts throughout the healthcare facilities in New York and the 5 boroughs. We work with about 45 different healthcare facilities. It's obvious the benefits to the community, but how does it benefit the student? First of all, they are outside the sometimes, shall we say, protective walls of the concert hall. They must intersect with people of all walks of life, create a performance which is engaging for all, be able to adapt to unusually configured concert spaces, field questions from an inquisitive audience, be able to adapt their repertoire at a moment's notice. Well, there's more and more we could say about that. All the knowledge that they are currently acquiring in music classes, liberal arts classes, and performance ensembles can be a great resource as they develop their communicative skills in sometimes, shall we say, challenging spaces with audience that are not necessarily acquainted with the concert hall. Great. Don't we really need to be about weaving the classical arts into the fabric of today's society? The student artist is agent, career service in and outside of class. The Office of Career Services at Juilliard not only provides graduates with a job bank and database and other things, but also engages the Juilliard student from their first year by providing many seminars and office resources as they come in those early days, and they think probably at the time, now how am I going to use this later on? But the seed will have been planted. They include things like Power Resume, Bio Basic, Secrets to a Savvy Press Kit, professional etiquette, contracts, networking and database management, grant writing. These resources are necessary for the student to be prepared for a life in the performing arts, not only after graduation, but right now. How great to put this information into practice for summer programs and festivals while they're currently in school. And I want to take just a moment to introduce you to Courtney Blackwell. She is our Director of Career Services. Courtney, hey. Hey, while you're standing up, let me put you on the spot. Can you, this I think is a great program also. Can you tell us just a little bit about the summer grants program that we currently have?
We have a program that's sponsored actually through academic affairs, but our office is really key to helping students navigate through the process. Juilliard has a set amount of funds set aside for students who have project ideas that have some sort of awareness, social awareness aspect to them. For example, one of the first summer grant projects was a group of musicians who took a piano, put it on the back of a truck, and traveled through the United States performing concerts for what they called people who didn't usually get exposure to classical music. We've also had students who have put together groups of dancers and musicians and actors, and they started off going to a school in Florida, serving the underrepresented and underserved communities there, and that's expanded into a project now that goes to South Africa and other parts of the U.S. So it's basically an opportunity for students to launch their project ideas. They practice writing grants, practice putting together a budget, practice being a group leader, and that's one of the ways that our offices sort of combine.
That's great. I think one of the most exciting things is when we have convocation at the very beginning of the school year, sometimes we hear about these particular student projects that happen during the summer, and it's very inspirational as the year begins, and you see how the students are already out there in practice using their skills and developing their skills. Also in the curriculum, I should say that we also have other things that happen. For instance, there's a colloquium class that all first-year students must take, and we can explore many of these topics that we're talking about today. There's a career development seminar for the upperclassmen. There's a program called Speaking Up, which follows a Toastmasters paradigm, which is great. Juilliards can speak about anything. They just have to prepare it, and sometimes those can be very exciting. Lunch and Learn, another opportunity for Juilliard students to speak to actual Juilliard staff to learn more about the programs. The student artist as development officer. How does the student market themselves effectively? The internet has created wonderful new vistas to explore. How about musicians taking a marketing class in the School of Business or a public speaking class in the School of Communications? There are so many opportunities out there already at our universities and conservatories. The student artist as an IT expert. Musicians often have an affinity for all things computer. Coursework in graphic design, web design, and other IT applications have great relevance for the young artist seeking out new and groundbreaking ways to connect with a new audience group. It can also be a sustaining income opportunity between gigs. Kim, like you were talking about multiple income streams. But web design can serve them as a financial resource, but help them also connect with colleagues in new ways that can be both mutually and financially beneficial. The student artist is visionary. How do we pursue this holistic approach to developing the entrepreneurial artist? Faculty and administrators must dialogue how they can take these important vocational skills and put them into the curriculum throughout the student's degree program. Service learning in higher education is all the buzz these days, but it serves the student well. I'm amazed about the number of students I dialogue with after graduation and how they discuss that their opportunities to pursue educational programs during their time of study has helped them immediately upon graduation, from starting dance companies to join an orchestra with a strong outreach component. We must remember that when we observe the music professionals very early in their career, they are focusing on recognizing an augmented sixth chord, using the International Phonetic Alphabet, or learning Alexander technique and many other important pursuits. Can we now help the young musician by creating opportunities and dialogue concerning the musician as entrepreneur across the music curriculum? They need help integrating these concepts into this time at the Conservatory University if they are passionately pursuing a career in the performing arts. So the classroom studio as an entrepreneurial opportunity. There's a new book that's out that some of you may have seen. How is this for a title? Disrupting Class: How Disruptive Innovation Will Change the Way the World Learns by Clayton Christensen. Basically, this is kind of an abbreviated thought. He talks about two different ways to create innovation. One is sustaining innovation, one is called disruptive innovation. Sustaining innovation is a company that has been moving in a great path through the years and continues what they're doing, getting better and better. Disruptive innovation is something that comes along that disrupts that pattern, but then new and great things happen. For instance, the development of the computer. First of all, it was the mainframe. Huge rooms, you know, so it was build a bigger, better mainframe computer, all of that. And what happened? The PC happened. So it was a disruptive innovation that happened during that time. So what is our disruptive innovation at this particular time in history? You know, we're based upon this Western music European model, and now we're moving, shall we say, to a global music millennial entrepreneurial model. And we need to really be about helping the students find these great opportunities and navigate this century. How do we help them do this? Well, I do think it's refining entrepreneurial skills at every opportunity, whether it be through educational programming or within the curriculum courses that are on their degree plan. So I'm going to take a minute and turn it right over to Cindy, and we'll continue on. Cindy.
Well, I want to talk a little bit as we get started about the context for my work, because I think all of us are in very different kinds of teaching and learning situations, ranging from Juilliard to, you know, the small community college in Mississippi to the big land-grant institution, which is where I teach. And each of these, I think, call for different ways of thought and different ways of being from us, because we're working with very different stakeholders. We're working with very different students who have very different plans and goals and ideas about what they want their futures to be. My context, as I said, is a large land-grant institution, one of the oldest land grants in the country, Michigan State University. And with the land-grant institution comes the valuing, to some extent, of engagement and outreach. So I am fortunate in that regard, in that to some extent it is already valued at my institution. Land grants were formed to help the farmers and to help the research that's happening in the classroom be disseminated so that we can improve practice. And that's really, to a large extent, what we're about. So there was already some valuing of getting our students out, taking our scholarship out, learning from what's happening out there to improve our scholarship. And the problem was it only recently is becoming valued in the promotion and tenure process. They talked about it a lot, but when the rubber hit the road, sometimes it wasn't being valued in the ways that it should be valued. And I think we're turning around with that. Our College of Music, newly a College of Music, it had been a School of Music until recently, reporting through Arts and Letters, and now we have direct reporting to the Provost, just hired a new Associate Dean for Outreach and Engagement. So it was a brand new position that was created to move that forward in our specific unit in the university. And Taylor was talking this morning about sort of not at first about the costs, but there are costs. And this is one piece of cost and action that has really moved our ability to be much more agile, much more fluid in our work with the community, all of which we are using as a way of helping our students develop these entrepreneurial skills, these engagement skills, the kinds of skills that they're going to need when they leave our classrooms. So I want to start a little bit with what Michigan State defines as outreach and engagement. Outreach and engagement occurs when scholarship is applied directly for the public good, and when the relationship between partners is reciprocal and mutually beneficial. That reciprocal and mutually beneficial is a really important piece. For me, to a large extent, that's what defines the difference between Big Brother coming down and telling you what you need to know and real, true engagement in a community setting. So through the College of Music outreach and engagement activities, MSU faculty and students are brought together with community members in synergistic programs that develop not only musical aptitude and ability, but life skills, which is what we're talking about here, not just for the people we're working with, but for our own students, and structural capacity. Shared experiences and partnerships through outreach and engagement result in mutually rewarding programs focused on sequential music instruction for community members and service learning opportunities for MSU students. So woven through all of that, you see the mutual nature of it, and you see the benefits both to the community in which we're working and to MSU. Now, one thing that really benefits faculty is often these community engagement opportunities are research opportunities as well. It's an opportunity for us to learn, for us to publish, for us to grow. But for the students, it's to develop those skills that when they leave us, they'll be able to go out, they'll be able to speak to audiences, they will be able to envision projects, they'll be able to know how to manage them, how to carry them out, and how to really engage in a meaningful way in the community. Our programs are sort of full. We are a full-service music stop at MSU. We have a large undergraduate music education program. Probably half of our 300 undergraduates are music education majors. We have probably 35 music therapy, and all of the rest are music performance with a few composers thrown in at the undergraduate level, but not many. Just to give you sort of a context for our student body. I'm going to talk a little bit about programming, and Robert talked a little bit about programming at Juilliard. I'm going to talk a little bit about programming at MSU with sort of the lens of what kind of levels are possible. What should we be thinking of? Also telling stories, MSU stories, to illustrate this a little bit. All of the levels at which we're working are connected to faculty in some way. So when our students are learning these engagement and entrepreneurial skills by working out in the community, they're not doing it on their own. They are doing it with faculty modeling first. So our faculty are out there doing it first and with. Then they're doing it with supervision from faculty, and they're always receiving feedback, have an opportunity for critical reflection and growth. Because if our really are going to take advantage of the benefits for our student of developing their skill set, just dropping them out there and letting them go is not the most reflective way, the most efficient way, the most useful way in which to approach that. So no matter which of these three levels I'm talking about, there's always faculty engagement with the student and with the project. Certainly, at any of our institutions, there can be engagement going on at the individual faculty level. And we've been doing this as musicians since time eternal. A couple of examples. There was a Lansing housing project that came to our community music school director a couple of years ago, said, our kids are running amok after school, particularly our middle school boys. We're interested in doing something here to help us. Let's figure out a grant we can write together and that will work here, that will draw this population in, that'll get them off the streets after school, but that will be engaging to them. What a great opportunity for us. Well, our community music school person at the time talked with a few individual faculty members about ideas, and one faculty member got lit on fire, that light in their eyes that Michael was talking about earlier. And this was one of our composers who does a lot of work in the electronic studio. And he went and they wrote a HUD grant that got funded and got lots of good computer equipment, sound files, and the kids basically did a composition workshop. And they used a lot of sound loops, and they created a CD at the end of it that was all of the kids' compositions. And these middle school boys, because it was dealing with technology, because we weren't trying to impose on them musical styles, they could pull from it what they were interested in, what engaged them, were all over it. And that's an ongoing program. It's really exciting to see, and these are pretty interesting things that they come up with. They're sophisticated, they're complicated, and it really has accomplished the goals of the grant, but it has also given composition students who normally may not be working in those venues an opportunity to go out with Mark once a week and work with these kids, talk with these kids, facilitate, guide these children, and afterwards on the way home they can talk about what went well, what didn't go well, what they need to do differently for next week, and get a game plan going, all with supervision. Another example of an individual, well, in a way it's a joint faculty project, is what's happening in our chamber music classes. I have been going out for probably the last 10 years working with professional orchestras and helping their orchestral musicians learn how to do developmentally appropriate community engagement, interactive community engagement with young audiences, as young actually as infants. So I've been working with the Pittsburgh Symphony with early childhood settings. And so some of the performance faculty at MSU found out what I was doing and said, how come our students aren't getting this? And I said, because nobody's sort of let me in. And the chamber music coach, who was a good friend of mine, said, okay, so here we go. And I've been coming into his chamber music classes now, and I do sort of a stand and deliver, which is not my favorite thing, but I do a stand and deliver to get the ball rolling and talk about good principles, demonstrate good principles, developmentally appropriate principles, and community engagement. And then, as their chamber music requirement, they are allowed for one of their 2 performances for the semester to go out into the schools. And as part of their coaching, they don't just work with the performance faculty, they work with me. And so together, the performance faculty and I are coaching, are mentoring these students, and then we go out with them and we critically reflect on how it went. So an example of something that's curricular, chamber music required of all students, an example of something that's not curricular, the housing grant. And I am not particularly protective of our traditional curriculum as it stands. I would much rather, instead of doing a silent curriculum, a silent parallel curriculum, a non-credit bearing parallel curriculum, we ought to be engaging in this. We ought to be integrating this in every class that we teach at the university and in every single thing that we do. And so for me to get that into the chamber music class at the invitation of the performance faculty member was a very exciting thing. And actually the string chamber music even let me in the following year because it was, the students were so excited about it, and students getting excited about it may be one of the most powerful tools that we have. And they get excited about this stuff because they see potential. They see all sorts of things that they can do that they've never been given the opportunity to do before. So level 1, individual faculty member or a pair of faculty members going off and doing their own thing that engages and that helps the students develop these skills. We are fortunate enough that 14 years ago when I came on faculty, we started a community music school. And our community music school is really designed to provide affordable access to quality music instruction for people of all ages and abilities. So we have an early childhood program, we have a New Horizons band, we do the full gamut. And many of our students are starting to work in these settings, and many of these settings have full-time benefits bearing positions now. So working in community music schools is actually becoming a career path that really has not existed to the same extent in the past. We have woven a lot of interaction with the community music school into our classes at MSU. For instance, in my early childhood music methods class, our students are on the floor with me as I teach, and it's part of the regular classroom. They apprentice with me, they assist in other classes, eventually maybe they teach those classes themselves. The same happens in our Suzuki program, the same happens in our piano ped program. Our instrumental music methods class goes out and works with older learners, half of the semester working with the New Horizons band. Actually, Nate was very active in that program, Nate Cruzy. So we're seeing this as an opportunity to get our students out working with members of the community that are not necessarily part of a traditional school population and learning how to work in these settings, learning what kind of skills they need. Again, all with faculty supervision, all with faculty modeling, all with the debriefing and feedback that results in real growth and learning rather than just guessing. Sort of the highest level we have in terms of engagement right now has been made possible by the hiring of our new dean, our new associate dean, because she can be our project manager. She is the one who does the kinds of things that Michael was talking about earlier in terms of developing cost analysis, doing time analysis, really putting the projects and coordinating the faculty, which is much more difficult for an individual faculty member to do when you're walking across units, across boundaries. It requires a tremendous commitment. And it's made it so much easier for us as faculty members to have this person who is sort of doing this for us, seeing if we want to engage in this way. So it's not a top-down initiative. It's always built from the bottom. But, here are some opportunities. Who's interested? What do we want to do? And in every single one of these, we are bringing our students along. That is part of the mutual benefit. That is the thing. That is a consistent piece that is written into every single engagement thing that we do. So what I want really to leave you with is that we need to think about engagement, about outreach, and the mutual benefit for us as faculty and particularly for our students, and engage in that in a very conscious way. We need to really help our students grow as entrepreneurs and as teachers by giving them guidance, by modeling, by really making what we are hoping that they will develop explicit to them, not just by chance. And that every single one of us can engage at some level, whether it be at the individual faculty level, whether it be by trying to create a venue like a community music school or plug into the community music school venue that you have, or whether it's by trying to engage in larger partnerships in the community. And if you're only working on one, you can be a project manager. But we have so many going that it would be hard for us to do this all without our associate dean. But even the associate dean that position came from our requests and multiple requests from faculty. This wasn't something that the provost thought of. This wasn't something that our dean thought of. This was something that the faculty wanted to do more engagement, and we felt like we couldn't do it all. And so our area chairs prioritized this position over another trumpet position or over another music theory position because they were so invested and felt so strongly about the need for this for our students. So multiple levels of engagement, making sure that we're really doing what we want to do by being critically reflective of this, and let's try to make it curricular and not part of a shadow curriculum, so that all our students do it, all our students, whether they think they need it or not, have the opportunity to engage in this, because many of them are awfully young and they don't completely know yet. And they're not necessarily hearing from their studio teachers, who are their main faculty person, what they really need when they leave. They're learning how to play well, but they're not necessarily learning how to engage and get by and be an entrepreneur, have an entrepreneurial spirit in our musical community.